Hi, my name is John, and today I will be doing a movie critique of the 2023, directed by Angel Manuel Soto, Blue Beetle. Yeah, the movie practically is about this kid named Jaime, who after he graduated, he was really unsure of his future, so he returned back to his family, only to find out that they were going through rough times and they were losing their house. So he started working, right? One day at the job, he found this girl who was really rich and stuff like that, and because he defended her, she told him to like come at this one place at this one time tomorrow, or like I don't know, the previous days later, and then he'll get something, right? He goes, but in like return he doesn't get a job, but he gets a box. He later finds out that in the box there was a creature called the scarab. It's an alien device that once he like infused it with himself, it fused into him. It gave him an exosuit, which gave him a bunch of powers and cool things like that. We later find out that the person that this lady stole it from, the company was trying to like make duplicates of it, to try to like, what's the word, like create an army of like these full of like these soldiers with this exosuits, right? This is really bad because the girl, she's like a co-owner of the company. Her dad was the owner of the company until he moved to her. And so, and like the company foundation was about like helping the community giving back. Instead of like violence, it would be about resources and things like that, right? So she was like, no, this is not good. And so with the help of them too, they try to like stop everything. But in the process, Jaime's like family's really like damaged. Like the grandpa ends up, and no spoiler warning, but grandpa ends up dying. The house ends up like breaking and just burning down. At the end, they do save the day, right? Obviously, Blue Beetle does, Jaime does. He destroys the factory. He gazes like his love interest was the girl in the beginning. Her company back practically, and live happily ever after, right? For my analysis, it's from the reading The Latino Condition, a critical reading by, sorry for my butchering, Sean A. I'm not even gonna try that last name, I'm sorry. The quote is, but another view might question whether any use of such an oft repeated and well known stereotype, given the history of Latinos' image in Hollywood films, can exist without in some way serving to reinforce it, right? Practically, right? What I'm trying to say in this quote, what is it trying to say is like, a stereotype is still a stereotype, right? Even if we try to change it, like do something different from it, a stereotype is still gonna be a stereotype. And one thing we know is that audiences love to generalize, right? Because it's super convenient. You don't have to like really think, right? And so when we see these stereotypes or these archetype characters, right? More specifically, right? We see the Theo. The first seconds we see him, he runs in like a troca, right, a truck, and then the audio, da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, which really struck a chord with me. But you know, like honing into those details, it really like captures like it gives an audience, right, a general view of how Latinos are seen. And yeah, you might say, oh, I think they actually did a really good job because even though they portrayed him like that in later the scenes, he's seen as the smart one. But I digress because he kicks the technology. And in my head, right, I don't know if this is like I'm trying to like generalize here. When you kick a device, it comes off as you don't actually know what you're doing, right? Why not just turn it off and on, right? But it's like, it seems like, oh, you're just trying to like, you're not actually not knowing what you're doing, right? Which is reinforcing that Latinos are uneducated and stuff like that. Even though we see Hyman as like this college graduate, I just don't think it's coming off. It's not portraying that way. Same thing with like the cast. I think the movie does a really good job of playing everybody as like pinning everybody as like the laughing stock. Because in like in retrospect, it allows everybody to not just like be the pincushion. It allows everybody to drift out. So, for example, again, like the Theo, I see him as the buffoon, right? He's made fun of. He's the laughing stock. He's the comedic relief. But then now he's also like smart, and he's able to do this because other people in the cast are also like the pincushion, like they're the joke, right? That's really harsh, but like it's true. So another example, I think it's really cool, like the nanny or the mammy, sorry, the grandma. She's very nurturing, right? Latinos and like people of POC, like who are older, have always been seen as like the nurturing type. But and then in the movie progresses, we see her with like this revolutionary take. Like she's holding a gun. She says like, "Oh, I know how to do other stuff," which makes her come out of that little box. You get me? Which again, I see what they're doing, right? Trying to cater to the white man. And when I say this, it's like giving them a plate that's already been served, but like changing key aspects. You get me? These stereotypes are already enforced, but they're trying to change it to try to make an overall change, right? Again, he's the joke, the Theo, but then he's smart. We see the grandma be nurturing, but then she's really tough. She's a revolutionary, right? Getting those out of those like very close-netted stereotypes or archetypes. I think they did a pretty good job on that. But again, going back to the quote, a stereotype is still a stereotype. I'm going into my findings, right? But I felt like the movie was making fun of Latinos, based on one, the music, two, they pin Latinos as like very like, I don't know, weird. I don't know how to say it. The movie is definitely has like a target audience, right? I think we could all assume what that is, but I think they cater too much to them. I don't know. I think the movie does a really bad job with like kind of like encapsulate, like again going back to that quote, like a stereotype is still a stereotype, right? The Theo, he's like the beginning shots are him with that audio that I've never heard a Latino ever hear in my life, and yet that's the only thing I remember. That noise, that audio, and then his face, right? Besides him being smart and like being able to control that bug, that's the key thing that I remember, right? I don't know, it just picks a chord with me, and it really kind of says a lot. Thank you, though. This is the end.